We shy now, bro. Go ahead.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Lawak, aka Lucky Charms, aka call me what you want. Just don't call me Collect. And to my left, you're right.
Hey man, Mr. Humble himself, man, the greatest, one of the greatest men in Stockton. I love that energy, by the way. That was crazy. Yeah, go ahead, man. Let them know if we talked to you today.
And we got a special guest in the building. You want to introduce yourself?
What up, fam? Breiden Fehoko, 6-year NFL retired veteran, media personality now all over. You've probably seen me on your screen. You've probably seen me in your mother's bedroom. You have yet to see me knock out Logan Paul. But I'm happy to be chopping it up with the guys today, man.
Yeah, we got him. We finally got him.
Oh gosh, bro. Oh my gosh. Go.
Yeah, he was in your mama's bed. You got issues, brother.
Hey, we come with that type of energy. I love
that
it,
type
man.
of energy.
I love it, man.
Logan, be careful, Logan.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that later on, though. Don't forget that. We're gonna talk about that later on. But hey, go ahead, Lou, and tell them what's up, bro.
So to kick it off, you want to tell the crowd about yourself a little bit, how you came up in Hawaii, where you grew up at.
Give him a combo, okay.
So I'm born and raised in Hawaii. Grew up in a small city of Kalihi. My boy Lux knows about that, man. Hard grinder lifestyle. Talk about the slums. It's straight slums out there. But I grew up youngest of 4 boys. All of us went to college, Division I on college football scholarships. And then 2 of my older brothers, as well as myself, had stints in the NFL. I had the longest. I went to Texas Tech out of high school on a full ride scholarship. I played there for about a year and a half, and then I ended up transferring to LSU for my last 2.5 years of college. Won a national championship there at LSU, was a part of the 15-0 team in 2019. Won the national championship in 2020. COVID hit that very next couple weeks or so. There was no draft day. There was no pro days. There's nothing. Everybody went into lockdown, and then came the draft. I went undrafted. Had a few opportunities with teams, multiple opportunities to go to teams on the West Coast, teams on the East Coast, and ultimately I felt like my best choice for me was the Los Angeles Chargers. Played there for 3 seasons as an undrafted free agent. That was my contract 3 years after my contract was up. Went and signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers on 3 one-year deals. So I played 6 years. It was phenomenal for me. I had a great career. I retired this past November. Just the part of me that wanted to spend more time with my family. I have 2 kids now, married. My oldest is 1.5. My youngest is 3 months old. And so what better time to spend time with them? But that's been my career up until now. Right now I'm a media personality. You've probably seen me on social media. You've probably seen me talking smack to your favorite analysts. You've probably seen me talking about football, talking about basketball, everything along the lines of A to Z. But more than grateful to be here with another one of my brothers, man. We grew up together. And so I'm just excited to be here. That's a little bit about me and my little upbringing, but more than happy to just be here spitting game with the fellas.
Hey man,
Yes, sir.
Hey, I mean that's a crazy introduction. Good lord. So I mean the last thing we need is just your credit card information if you don't mind letting people know about that. No, but you said a lot right there. It was great to hear. I want to break some things down. So kind of go back a little bit. Kind of like closer to your childhood. When doing football, first starting football, in that whole mix, when was it like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously? Like, what that changed pretty much?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, all my brothers played football. My father played football, and so football was kind of always in my family. There was always a passion for it, but being the youngest of 4 boys, it didn't really hit me to kind of take that next step in football, kind of take it serious until I was the last one at home with my parents. All my brothers had left off to college or left off to conquer whatever endeavors they had in life, and so it was just me, my mom, and dad that were home alone. And that's when it kind of hit me where 1, I needed to grow up. 2, I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. And then 3, I needed to put my talent to good use. And, I hit the weight room hard. I grinded in the off season to gain weight. I was a skinnier, believe it or not, I was skinny back then, but I was a skinny, lanky kid, just super tall, put on some muscle, worked my ass off every day, ate 3-4 meals, good food a day, steak, chicken, potatoes, rice, all that good stuff.
Oh man. Okay.
Went to sleep early, just really tried to hone in on just locking in on, accomplishing my dreams and all that. And like I said, it didn't really hit till, my brothers left to college and I was like, oh, like it's time to lock in now. It's time to go.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that, man. I like that. So with that whole thing, being the youngest, man, it's kind of like sounds like a little bit like LaMelo Ball in a sense, like the last brother. You know some basketball, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like that. So you
Mhm.
got to work hard and be like, the younger brother in a sense, and kind of get that strength back up. Um, so when you're in high school playing football, what was like the transition from high school to college? I know it's obvious, but like, what's the one thing that really gets kind of overlooked, pretty much?
Well, shoot, I think the biggest thing to me that stands out is like when I think about high school football in Hawaii, um, man, they don't have the tools and resources, like these schools in the States do, California, Texas, Florida. Um, the facilities, the educational advantages of being able to watch film, record your practices, record your games. We didn't have that. I mean, me and Lux went to the same high school, and so we played ball pretty much on a dirt rock field. You know what I mean? Like
True.
it was horrendous. It wasn't something that you wanted to do. It was just something that this was the lifestyle. We didn't have we had hand me down uniforms from like 10, 15 years for the guys that played before us. So um one of the biggest differences and disadvantages I had was like, man, this is a huge step for me. Like, yeah, I was physically gifted, I was a talented football player, but like from an X's and O's standpoint on understanding the game more than what I already knew, like I was so far behind. Like when I got to college, and I had to realize, like, okay, there's a gap physically. It's not a big gap for me, but mentally, I got to close this gap a little bit to become a better football player. And so that's what I did. And ultimately ended up making the right decision transferring from Texas Tech to LSU. And, the rest is history. Won a national championship, played 6 years in the NFL. And, you know, my gambling risks of, choosing football decisions for me has paid off, I'd like to say. And looking back at it now. So, man, that was kind of the biggest difference, going from high school to college is just the mental standpoint and how you grow as a player because we weren't afforded those opportunities back home, on the rock.
Yeah.
That's
And
real. Okay.
touch on the educational part because education was big in your household. So from high school to college to the leagues on educational part because you can't play football forever.
Mhm.
He needed something to fall back on.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I mean, you know how mom is, man. She's a teacher, and she was always gonna make sure that our grades was straight before we could even get on the football field. So like for me, there was no if, ands, or buts. There was no going back and be like, oh, maybe I can get a B or C on this. Like it was A's or nothing. And if it wasn't an A, I wasn't playing football. So mom really instilled that early at a young age to the point where it was like when I got to college, it was second nature. It wasn't I got to college and I can, let off the gas a little bit in the classroom because, it's a bigger platform of football. Like I think about when I got to college and I'm like, I picked it up even more. I can remember we're gonna play Oklahoma the next day on primetime TV when I was at Texas Tech or, playing Alabama Saturday night. And the night before I'm in my hotel room typing up a paper, and trying to get it submitted. So education was big for me. I wasn't going to leave college without a degree. I had the opportunity to enter the draft early after my first year at LSU, and I had a really good year. Got hurt, but everything happens for a reason. I talked to my mother, talked to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and we all kind of talked about how we all came to a consensus about staying back, getting your degree. Everything happens for a reason, and so I'm glad I have my degree now. I have it posted on my wall. It's more than just an accomplishment. It's a sign to show my kids one day that, hey, I wasn't the smartest of the bunch, but if I can do that, if I can put up these degrees on the wall, then you have no excuse to go out and, do your best in the classroom and get an education.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's real. That's real, man. Yeah,
Look,
yeah. Go ahead, man. Tell him.
about his mom being a teacher, bro. I had her as a substitute in my class, bro. I was the best student that day.
Right,
Best
right.
student. I sat up front. I was quiet. Didn't talk to nobody.
Hey, no, because like I don't know if Lou told you, but we met your mom actually. Well, I met
Yeah,
you.
that's right. In Houston, huh?
Yeah, in Houston. So I'm like,
Yep.
I can tell off the vibe, like really, really sweet woman. Like that's my auntie now. You can't say nothing now. That's my auntie. She already
Yeah, I
claimed
love
me.
that. I
We
love
can't get
that.
away with that, you know. You know what I'm saying? But I can see
Love
like
it.
that she cares and that she wants you to be good. So it obviously shows
Yeah.
off you and your brothers, man. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate that, bro. No,
yeah.
it was rough growing up. I mean, like whether it was in the school, in the classroom, or even at home on the dinner table, like Lux knows, like, you gotta you gotta conquer your opportunities, bro. Like you ain't afforded opportunities. Lightning ain't gonna strike twice. In the classroom, you get an opportunity to get an A, get an A. If we're at home and you miss out on dinner, you miss out on dinner. Like, as the youngest of four, I had to capitalize on my opportunities. And so I took advantage of everything that was given to me.
So would you say that would you say that your brothers kind of because you're the youngest, so I'm sure they picked on you a little bit, not to get on them,
Heck
I'm
yeah,
on
they
that,
did.
but they did.
Trust me.
Yeah, so they did. So yeah, any stories about that you're comfortable with sharing?
Man, I, you know, I can think of so many times where, man, my brothers will whoop my ass just for like, when I look back at it now, like, I felt like they were whooping my ass strictly because they hated the way how my parents really like kind of favored me as the youngest. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay.
So like, during the time growing up, they would say, "No, he did this wrong." But now that we can joke around about it and sit here and talk about adults, my brothers were really jealous, and I'm happy saying that they were jealous that I was one the most talented, the tallest, the strongest, the best looking, had the
Oh,
best grades. You know what I'm saying? And so like they felt a little type of way about young Breiden growing up, and so they for sure used to whoop. Like I'll beat my brother in Madden, he whoop my, and he would say some
yeah.
excuses like, "Oh, he has an attitude problem," slap to the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is, but
Yeah.
it's cool. Without my older brothers and like where they've gotten me up until this point, like I wouldn't be the person I am today. Whether it was whoopings, whether it was the long nights of like training, long talks or whatever, like everything purposely happened to get me up until this point in my life to prepare me not just as an athlete but a young man. And so when I look back to it, man, it sucked as a kid, but like I kind of missed that, like the memories of like growing up, having luck and all my brother's teammates over at the house. My parents would buy like KFC, like buckets of chicken, rice, and she feeding all the boys. And like I'm the youngest, I'm just like nitpicking, making trouble to all the older boys at the house. Like, but I looked at all of them like an older brother to me. So like, and that was the cool thing was like whenever I'd come around the team and stuff, they all looked at me like a younger brother. Like even though I used to piss them off, I used to pester them, I used to nag on them, I used to be like the irritated little kid, but they always looked out for Breiden. And so that was the cool thing I would say growing up was like being the youngest, having that, you know, someone looking over your shoulder is like a real comforting feeling of like the older brother type of feel, just knowing that, you're always going to be looked after. They weren't going to let you fail. And they were always going to expect the most out of you when, your most was expected to be given.
Yeah, yeah. That's real, man. That's real.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
bro. This dude used to stab our cups, bro.
Yeah.
Just for a water break, water leaking.
Because it sounds like you kind of, I can see the youngest one, even though they get picked on, because I'm the older brother of a sister. Sometimes the youngest ones, they do some things on purpose. They do some things on purpose. Like you being like a little troll, but
He was
No,
always in the weight room.
bro, I was worse than a troll. Like I was a pestering, irritating kid, bro. Because I was like, one, I had three older brothers, so I was like, I knew you couldn't touch me, and then all my brother's teammates I was close with, like Luck. I mean, we had a bunch of them, so it wasn't just three older brothers. I had like 9, 10 older brothers. You know what I'm saying? So like, I knew I could just walk around like Tupac, like nobody could touch me. Like only God can judge me. Like that's how I used to walk around as a kid,
Yeah.
cocky, arrogant. And I know everybody used to hate it because it was just like, man, Breiden, 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 Breiden. But like now that I look back at it, whether it's my brothers, whether it's Luck, whether it's any of my other brothers' teammates, or all like the older guys I used to pull up, like I always thank them because I'm like, man, you guys helped me. You guys really shaped me to who I am. Like you guys always looked out for me. So it's always family. It's always love. And it's just like, it's crazy that now, like, I wish my son can have that type of, like, he's the oldest, so he won't know what it's like to be the youngest of siblings. You know what I'm saying? But to have that nurturing, to have that like guidance of like an older brother is so crucial. I mean, it's hard, but is something that I wish everybody can go through, having that older sibling, because nobody's gonna look out for you. Nobody's gonna show you more tough love than either a father or older sibling.
That's real.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
lying.
real. I mean, let's touch on that. You being a parent, how does it feel being a parent now that you're older? You got 2 kids, you got a wife. How does that feel?
Bro, it's crazy. Like, I mean, 3 years ago, we're over here taking vacations around the world. Like, it's just me and my wife. Like, we sleeping until like 9 or 10 in the off season. Like, ain't got to worry about nothing. We get up, we can go drive somewhere if we want to. Like, we live in Texas, so we like one day we may just wake up, go spend the next 2 days in Oklahoma at the casino, the 5-star resort over there. Like, we could do stuff like that. We could just fly to Hawaii next week. But it's like, I wake up, my son come, he wake up, dada, 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 and so like, it's like, I'm trying to get some sleep, but like, it's cool. There's a mini me here. He
Yeah.
follows everything I do. Like, my emotions, my actions, the words I use, the way I act, the way I hold myself, like, my son follows everything to a T. And it's cool. It's a blessing to know that, like, yes, I am his father, but I'm kind of that older sibling, like what I talked about earlier, that nurturing, that guidance, that mentorship, you know. And then, having a daughter is like amazing, because it's like now I get to teach my son how to be an older sibling to his sister, and then having 2 kids and then working with my wife every day. It's a team game. Like, there's, trust me, there's days where it's hard, bro. Like, how to discipline our kids, or who's taking what kid where, does this kid need to, go to a doctor's appointment? Does this kid need to go to school? Like, so, but ultimately it's been a blessing, man. It's the biggest blessing. I mean, my biggest blessing is being a husband and then being a father second. So, I'm so grateful that I have 2 healthy kids, a healthy wife, and, just looking forward to growing with them every day, man. It's so awesome. Life is, so precious, so short. And so every opportunity I have to just continue to pour into my kids, pour into my my little nephews, my nieces, and show my wife that, we have so much life to give to the next generation. That's all I care about.
Man,
Nice. That's dope. That's dope.
man, that's dope, bro. That's real.
Appreciate
That
it,
is real.
fellas.
That is.
Because I got a I think I want to touch on, because I know as you're a father, you're a husband. For most men, it's important that we at times express our emotions and our feelings and how we deal with things. So what could you say helped you during this time as a father and a husband? Because I mean, you can't really plan these things. These things
Mhm.
happen. You know, whatever your son said, there's not like a transcript about what to say. So how do you deal with these things? Like, what's your comfort um, during these difficult times, like you mentioned?
Shoot, that's a great question. I mean, bro, honestly, like, growing up, like, I grew up in such a tough household, like, all boys. The only girl in the household was my mom. So, you didn't really have time to, like, express your emotions, bro. Like, if I was going through some shit, it was, man, you better toughen that shit out and figure it out.
Go to the weight room.
To the
Like,
weight room?
you're gonna take your ass to the weight room, go lift it out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and Lucky knows, like, man, that's what we used to do. Like, oh, you going through some shit? All right, cool. Let's go hit some arms. Like, and to me, like, that was a cool way. Like, for me, that was a great way to grow up in a tough environment. But when I look at it now for my kids, like, I lived through that tough environment, so they don't have to do it. We grew up in low income housing with my parents barely making it, month to month, and eating hot dogs and rice for dinner, and beans and whatever, whatnot. We had bread with syrup. Like, that's the type of stuff we ate. Like, so there was a need for me to grow up tough. But now, I mean, we live in, the richest of the richest suburbs, and 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 I'm being humble about it, but my kids won't have to grow up that way. So there's not going to be a need for me to be like, oh, you can't be tough, or you can't do it. Like, this is not the environment for that, you know? So I want to be able to tell them, like, if there's something you want to talk about, we can talk about it. You know, you don't grow up in a community where, your teammates might get stabbed on any given day. You see drugs getting slanged in between classes. Like, that's not the type of city these kids are growing up in. The kids now, my kids will grow up in a city where they go to school and there's a Pizza Hut in the cafeteria, there's a Panda Express, there's a Chick-fil-A, a
Yeah.
Smoothie King, like in the cafeteria at a high school. So the opportunity to give them a chance to speak about their mental health should be much easier now, because I've lived through the tough times. For them to make it easier now and be like, oh, Dad, Mom, I'm struggling with this. Can I talk to you about it? Yeah, come on, let's sit down and talk.
I like that. I like that. And I think that's important for development, and also what's the difference between the older generation and the younger generation now. Not saying that you're old, but just, older your kids.
He
pretty
up there.
much.
He up there.
He up there.
I'm up there. I'm
So we got
30.
another
I'm
age.
30 this year, so it's getting up there for sure.
Yeah, that Lou.
Hey, bro.
Never mind. Anyway, so
Don't talk about me.
so we're gonna talk about we're gonna switch to the football. The NFL. Going into the NFL, what was something that you didn't realize that was the big thing? While joining.
Everybody's the same. So when you go from high school to college, you can still kind of pinpoint the more talented players on any given team. If you're talented in high school, say you're the most 100% talented guy, when you get to college, now you may be about 80%, 75%-ish more talented than the rest of the roster. So you'll still be able to get away with bad technique, bad habits, sometimes freestyling out there, just because it's pure talent, right? The talent gap isn't as narrow as it is. Now, when you get from college to NFL, that 75 to 80% is now breaking down to 5%. Like huge margin, right? So you go from being high school, elite, best of the best, to college, you're still the best, now to the NFL, where the playing field is like this. It's like everybody sees eye to eye in the NFL. There is no talent gap. There is no, I can pick on this guy on Sunday, I'm more talented. The guy across from you is just as strong, if not stronger. He's faster than you. He's probably been playing in the NFL longer than you. So he knows more mentally about X's and O's than you thought you ever known. So the little things, right? How can I get an edge? The film room. One thing I had to realize when I got to the NFL, I gotta watch more film. Putting myself in position, like pre-play position is one thing I can't stress enough. So, for example, I'm a slower guy, right? I'm a bigger player. I'm not as fast as the Aaron Donalds or the quicker defensive tackles that have played before me, right? I was a bigger guy, played the run, eat up blocks, eat up space. So what would I do to minimize the offensive line having an advantage on me? And for me, that was scooting as close as I can possibly to the line of scrimmage. So I always told myself that the closer I am to this offensive lineman, the quicker I can get my hands on him, which doesn't allow him to go left and right or drive me off the ball, right? So now that I knew that, now that I knew little things that I had to do to make myself a better player, I would just drill it every single day. And I try to find little intricate things about the game of, okay, if I'm closer, how is he going to play me? Okay, that would make the old lineman scoot more far off the ball. So if he scooted more far off the ball, I'd scoot far off the ball, because then it would just create disruptive angles of spacing for them, right? So now that step he thinks he has to take off the ball, which takes him, he's going to think, oh, it's going to take me 2 steps before I create contact with his nose tackle. Talk about me. Now, if I scoot off the ball a step, now it's going to take him 3 steps. He's not preparing for his point of contact, the line of scrimmage, to be 3 steps. He's thinking 2 steps. Now I'm over here, my first step and a half, I'm already knowing because I backed off the ball and I saw him back off the ball. So, bro, it's crazy. I can go into this like whole manipulation thing about the NFL and like the mental aspect of it, but those are things that I was like, this is what I got to get better at, because like I said, the guy across from you benches 500 pounds. He squats 700 pounds. He runs a 4.9 40, and he's an offensive lineman. So what are you going to do to get an advantage when the athlete across from you is the same, if not better than you?
Man. Yeah, that's a lot.
And what about, like, what teammate have you learned a lot from being on multiple teams?
Man, I think the top 2 teammates, one would probably be Linval Joseph. Pro Bowl defensive tackle, longtime Minnesota Vikings, played with him at the Chargers for 2 years. Super great vet. Every weekend before the game, we'd always go out to eat, and he'd take the nose tackles, and we'd go eat, and he'd order one of everything on the menu. So that was great. But he taught me more about life in the game than I could ever imagine. And then when I got to the Steelers, Cam Hayward, future first ballot Hall of Famer, those are two really just crucial players that helped me grow on the field and then off the field on the mental side of it. Those guys played a lot of football, more than 10 plus years each in the league. And so they've seen a lot, they've done a lot, and they've been through the fire more than often. And, just getting to be around them, watching them work every day, watching how they operate as true professionals, right? Everybody talks about, oh, the National Football League, these are the best of the best. Well, when you get around the best of the best and you see the best amongst the best, then there's a gap. And so you get the opportunity to observe these guys and see what they do every day. That's what I was very fortunate and blessed to do.
Okay. And now, how Lou mentioned, a player helping you out. Who was a player that you didn't think that would help you out that ended up helping you out in the game?
I think when I think back to my Charger days, I think about a guy named Justin Jones. He was a defensive tackle, played at NC State, a really good player, underrated. He doesn't get a lot of credit in the media, but he's such a good football player. When I first got to the Chargers, I was a young kid, rookie, and had this mentality where I was like, fuck everybody. I'm here to compete. I'm here to take a job. I don't care about who's in front of me. Like, anybody can get this work. But I got with Justin Jones, and JJ was so huge on giving back to the younger guys. And we were the same age, but in NFL terms, he's been in the league for 3 years, and this is my first year. So being around JJ and just understanding, like, how he wanted to just, hey, Bray, like, you should try this right here on this play. You should try this technique on that play. He didn't care. He wanted us to be better than him. He wanted us to take his job, because you know what that meant? That meant we bred good competition. If I wasn't trying to take his job, and if I wasn't trying to be the better player than him, it wouldn't make him to be the best player he could have been on game day. And I mean, he signed over $60 million worth of contracts already in the NFL. Great career for him. But Justin Jones he's like a brother now. He's one guy that, I owe a lot to, just in my development, just as somebody who's looked out for me, somebody I didn't expect that was like gonna, lend a arm out and be like, hey, Bray, come under my wing. I'll show you what's up. So good dude, man. I owe him a lot. Shout out JJ. He's a great dude, man. Looking forward to him. I think this is year 9 or 8 or 9 coming up for him. So,
okay.
I want to say maybe year 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But JJ's a good dude. Really good dude.
Nice.
Okay. And you play with a lot of great quarterbacks
Mm.
from college to NFL. One in particular, Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer.
Mm.
Wait, what?
So the media likes to crush his name a lot. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
Aaron Rodgers. So how was he as a teammate? Like, to give an insight to the fans that look at him sideways because what the media say about him.
Bro, Aaron is one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. So misunderstood. Like, you talk about a guy that genuinely cares about people, that has a good heart, man. Like, you don't come across people like that often, especially in the football world. I got to Pittsburgh in August, re-signed with them, and Aaron really didn't have to, put a caring and liking into who I was as a person, right? I was just another body. He's Aaron Rodgers. I played defensive line. I was second, third on the depth chart. There's no need to know who Breiden Fehoko is, but first day I get there, the guy looks at me, gives me a hug. He's like, man, happy to have you back. And I'm just like, whoa. He's like, I'm nice to meet you. My name's Aaron. I'm like, holy, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, man, every day he would just genuinely, like, check up on you. We'd play cards. We're chilling, and when you do training camp in Pittsburgh, Cam Hayward's room is always on the first floor. And he always has a guest room where there's like board games, there's chess, there's cards, there's dominoes. We're always playing, we're always competing, Connect Four. There's Madden, Xbox in there, So we'd always go chill in there, and A-Rod's in there talking to the guys. We're playing cards or whatever. We're playing, a FIFA, NHL, and just a great dude, a great, genuine human being that cares a lot about people. And his image that's portrayed in the media is so nasty. It's disgusting. Because if people knew the person he was and how much he cares about the people around him, then people would, feel bad about themselves for, just the bad trash they've talked about Aaron over, the last decade. And I mean, he's going to go into the Hall of Fame outside of his talent, but
Mm.
great player, but even greater person.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I feel like the media and then actually knowing someone in real life is two different things, of course. The media, that's how they get their clicks, that's how they get their uh followers. It's just negative, news. That's all they talk about. So I'm happy that you brought that up about Aaron Rodgers. I did not know that. I almost jumped through the screen right now.
Yeah,
I did not, yeah, I didn't know that. Okay. Man, that's crazy.
he played with a lot of greats. I mean, Darren James. He
I
got
played. I mean, if you want to just go from a quarterback perspective, I played with Patrick Mahomes. I played with Davis Webb, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Broncos. He got drafted in the second or third round to the Giants. I played with Joe Burrow. I played with Justin Herbert. I played with Russell Wilson. I played with Aaron Rodgers. I want to see who else I'm missing. Yeah, no, but that list alone,
That's a lot of greats.
that's a Russell Wilson Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes Hall of Famer, Joe Burrow, Justin still young in their careers, so
Yeah.
I won't put, but they're moving on that path. Davis Webb, offensive coordinator for the Broncos. Like I've been around some really great quarterbacks in my career, bro.
Man.
touch on Russell Wilson, like because the media also looks at him in a bad way, and then obviously Broncos country, we look at him in a bad way.
Bro, Russ is misunderstood. Russ is he's a good-hearted player that people try to, like, they want Russ to be this bad guy for some reason. He's married to, pop star Sierra. And so people think like when they see Russ and he's praying on the field pregame, or he's talking about his teammates in a good way, or he's speaking proper, like people want him to be like this degenerate bad guy that I don't get, because he's not that. He's like Aaron. He's a great human dude. Two totally different personalities, by the way, but two great humans. Man, Russ is just like, Russ is always thinking. So what I mean by that is, like, if he's talking to you, his eyes are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, pull into the facility in the morning. You see Russ at breakfast. Hey, Russ, what's up, bro? Hey, what's up, big dog? But, he's looking around like
Yeah.
he's always analyzing things, whether it's in the cafeteria, on the field. And I think a lot of that got misinterpreted and just misdiagnosed in Denver. One, because he wasn't a fit. I think what Denver wanted to do compared to what Russ's talents were, it just never aligned. Pete gave Russ a lot of freedom in that offense to create broken play. Russ is one of the best quarterbacks when he evades the pocket. Broken plays, deep balls, plays after the first read is not there. Russ was phenomenal at that. Denver wanted to make him this pocket progression, Peyton Manning. That's how they won a Super Bowl. So Russell Wilson, you got to do it this way. And it never really fit like that. It kind of worked in Pittsburgh for a little bit until it got a little vanilla, and it was like Pittsburgh's real traditional and how they play football. Russ, how he wants to play, get out the pocket, evade, create things. Pittsburgh's not really like that, so that kind of didn't fit. But outside of that, bro, Russ is phenomenal. Great dude.
Yeah, I missed
I
that,
mean,
man. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I was against him being benched. I felt like the Broncos could have made the playoffs with him
For
if he
sure.
continued to play it. So, but I mean, he did rob the Broncos on a lot of money.
Oh, congratulations.
So
I
my
mean,
issue, my beef is with that.
well deserved.
So what player did you really want to play with that you couldn't play with before retiring?
Mm. Lux knows this. I was a huge Vikings fan growing up, so I really wanted to play with Adrian Peterson, but he retired 2 years before I got to the NFL. That was just, it was either play with Adrian Peterson or play on the Vikings, because I was a Vikings fan growing up. I was a bandwagon for sure, but I was really like a bandwagon heavy Minnesota fan because I grew up liking AP all day. I used to call myself all day as a kid, and so um, I really wanted the opportunity to play with AP. But it's crazy getting to play with Linval in LA with the Chargers was awesome, and it kind of filled that gap of like the Minnesota fanboy in me. I'd ask him questions about like the early Minnesota days, um, all that good stuff, and then just getting to ask him about like Skull and the Dome and the Viking Horn and everything under the sun about Minnesota was so cool. So that was a player I wanted to play with, before retiring, or obviously before he retired.
Man, 2 years.
You got to play against them though, huh?
Yeah.
No, yes, what year did we play Minnesota? My second year we played Minnesota. We won, but Kirk and Justin Jefferson and who was running back? Dalvin Cook. They went federal that game. We barely won, but it was close.
Mind you, when he got signed to the Chargers, I was happy but heartbroken at the same time.
Yeah. It's gonna be that a little bit.
I had to tell him ease off of my quarterbacks a little bit.
He's all, bro. He's all. Well, I think
Oh,
it's time to bring the section, man.
Wait, hold up. We gotta talk about your retirement.
Oh
How you
yeah,
like your retirement?
yeah.
Retirement from the league, just focus on your family and whatever you got planned.
bro. So since I retired, I remember before I retired, I told my wife, I was like, whenever I was playing, I said, man, when I retire, I'm just gonna sleep all day. Like I'm gonna enjoy just sleeping and not doing. And when I retired for the first week or two, it was phenomenal. And then after that, I'm like, all right, this is boring. Like I can't be at home all day. I can't sleep in all day. Like I got to go figure out something to do. So, but outside of that, just being able to be around the kids, getting to raise the kids, not having to travel back and forth for a football season is phenomenal. Getting to help my wife around the house, getting to do things, just basic dad things, putting up stuff, building stuff, taking down stuff. That's been great. Getting to take my son to the park during the day, things like that. Getting to change diapers, I don't take for granted. So those are the perks of being retired now. And honestly, right now, just kind of just looking for something to fill that void of time. Because I have so much time on my hands, but I'm just like, football has been a part of me and my identity for the last 25, 26 years. And now that it's done, it's like, okay, like what's our next step? So definitely finding some, deeper meaning towards something meaningful. Whatever my next step or avenue I take in life, I want to be able to make sure it's meaningful and I can honestly, one, give back to kids, two, be a good person in whatever it is. So, just kind of help society. And part of that is, enticed me to get into coaching. Part of that has enticed me to, I've even looked at being an FBI agent just because
What the?
it's one of my buddies. So totally random, but one of my buddies is the head of the FBI out here in Dallas. And he was like, we have a lot of ex NFL players that like when they retire, there's a void for them because they go from organized structure every day in a football, setting, meetings, workouts, practice, games to retired, and now they're just kind of sitting on their butt at home. So, the FBI is awesome because one, we give them structure. It's a team setting. You're still kind of competing in a way. We work out every day as a unit, and our game day is we go and hunt bad guys. And so, that's kind of been a thought. I don't know. I'm a little afraid of that. I don't want to, run into, a drug cartel leader or something because not about that life.
Right.
But no, it has crossed my mind a little bit on things. But as of now, just been working with third party companies about media personality and some partnerships. So that's been kind of good. And then honestly, like just kind of buckling down this season about honing in on what I want to do, to have the next impact in my life and my family's life.
Okay, that's cool. So what part of your career did retirement kind of sink in?
Probably when teams stop calling. Like nobody really wants to retire from football. And you're very fortunate if you're the Tom Brady or Aaron Donalds or one of the great ones that, a team still wants you and will pay you good money, but you're just like, I can't do it. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. at a certain point, teams are going to stop calling you because it's just, hey, we appreciate you, but we're good. And, I'm very fortunate that it took 6 years for teams to stop calling me. And I'm grateful for it. I surpassed expectations. I made it past 2.5 years in the league. I have vested pension. I'm retired. Been able to, buy a house, buy multiple cars, multiple financial assets that are able to benefit not just my wife, but my kids for years to come, generations. And I have a head start in life that I'm, super grateful for. So, when teams stop calling, bro, that's when the retirement, thing kind of sets in. You're like, all right, like there's no more of this sitting on the couch anymore. I got to go figure out what I'm gonna do next.
That's dope. What about the so you touched a while back, you touched on mental health in the league. So if you don't mind touching on that, like you said, you touched on a few parts where your coach was like, you got a day job. Don't dwell too much on having a kid. So how big of an impact is mental health in the league, and how is it overshadowed by just being grown men to where you
Mm.
can't be soft in the league?
Bro, it's crazy. The league has become such a tough love place, and because of how they compensate you in the NFL, um, there's an expectation that you're gonna have to make decisions that 99% of the world aren't comfortable making, and that's sometimes missing the birth of your child, sometimes not being there during Christmas, not being able to celebrate Thanksgiving. So I try to, now that I'm retired, encourage a lot of athletes to reach out because I know what they're going through. You can't really say nothing about it while you're there. The job of an NFL football player is to win football games and to bring money into that organization and feed the fish. You know what I'm saying? Your job as an employee for your employer is to produce, and your production isn't your mental health. Your production is getting sacks, getting touchdowns, throwing touchdowns, scoring on a Sunday. That's what you're expected to do. And so I try to make it an emphasis now that I'm retired, now that I have this platform to speak up of reach out. It's okay. Come talk to a former player. I'm open. My DMs are open. I've had former active players reach out now. Go see a therapist on the side. It doesn't have to be through a team facility or a team clinician. You know, the days of being a man and being tough, I get it. There's a time and a place for that as a man in this world. But you can't be tough. You can't be your best when your best is required if you're not 100%. And so, the only way for me to get 100% when I was playing was I had a therapist on the side. I would go talk to my therapist, talk about things I was struggling with, things I was looking forward to, how to deal with certain things, how to cope healthy, right? A lot of guys will cope, but it's not healthy. Some guys will turn to the bottle, they'll start drinking. Some guys will turn to painkillers. Some guys will turn to weed, gambling. There's so much things that they turn to try to cope with their mental health, but it's not healthy, right? For me, how did I cope with mental health? What was it? It was sitting down with the family, playing board games, doing activities, going to the movies with the family, right? Getting my mind busy, not focused on the things at hand, the football, the plays, the film, the practice, all that, the playbook. So I just encourage, man. I encourage the active players, former players who are retired, everybody under the sun, that you're more than just this a guy, that you have to be tough, right? Come out, reach out. Suicide's never an option. Everybody's going through something. We're here to fight through it together, and we're going to continue to fight through it together. And I'm just hoping the NFL decides to open up their eyes that it's more than just wins and losses on a Sunday. It's guys' livelihoods, and if you want the best product, then you better make sure they're good mentally off the field.
Okay. That's real, man. That's real.
That's real. I mean, because a lot of times they just throw CTE up there and blame CTE for all these NFL players or former players taking their lives and something. And then that's why I wanted to touch on mental health, because you can't just throw it to CTE and blame CTE. It's bigger than that.
Way
Yeah.
bigger than that. Way bigger. I mean, the word CTE is thrown around so lightly now that if people firsthand got to experience what CTE is, they'd stop joking about it. Because it's a real disease. Like, people talk about cancer, people talk about Alzheimer's, people talk about diabetes, right? All these things that are hurting humans and that are killing the quality of life for human beings. If you saw CTE firsthand, you'd treat it the same as all these other diseases and illness that are, taking, human beings' lives. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because like, people in the media, man, again, they just, oh, that's this, that's that, as if, athletes aren't human for some reason. They just think that, oh, they're just entertainment, but there's more to us. I'm happy that you got deeper into that and brought it to, people's attention.
Yeah. No, anytime, bro. Anytime.
Yeah.
Are you planning like a little foundation or something with mental health, working closely with
Yeah,
mental health?
so I've been in contact with the PA, contact with other former players, current players, about how we can create more programs that give guys, one, just the strength and the will to not feel like they're being judged from a team standpoint, right? Because that's the biggest issue right now is guys feel like if they speak up, they'll be looked at differently from the team. So how can we can create like an anonymous program, hotline-ish esque type of thing where guys can feel like they can speak at a round table, talk to other guys in their situation, talk to guys like me who have dealt with it, talk to other guys maybe in their same position or maybe former teammates that they didn't know dealt with it, right? So creating a pool, and a round table of athletes, football, basketball, everybody that we can just bring to the table and say, hey, you know what? These are our board of guys or females that athletes that have played, endured it. Use them as your tools and resources to help you and get any questions you need answered on how you can make yourself feel better and become a better version of yourself than you were yesterday.
I like that, man. That's dope. That's dope. That's needed too.
It is. It is needed.
Yeah, that's because when you overlook things like that, then it doesn't get fixed. So I'm happy that you guys are starting a foundation and working towards that too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I got a I got a different type of question. I was thinking about it as you guys were talking earlier. It's up to you if you want to answer this. And
He's gonna answer it.
yeah. Well, in the NFL, with your teammates, your boys, everybody jokes around a lot. What's I know they kind of pranked you a little bit. So what prank are you willing to? Oh, look at that smile. He's already thinking. What prank is like? All right, y'all. Like y'all doing too much. Like that you want to share.
My rookie dinner, we went to Mastro's Steakhouse my rookie year, and I was undrafted, so I didn't make a lot of money my rookie year. And we went there, we got done. The bill was split up between me and three other undrafted rookie D linemen, and the bill was maybe 56,000. So it would have been like 13, 14,000 between each guy. Yeah, and they were recording, but I was just like, I looked at him, I was like, bro, I'm not paying this. Like, y'all gonna have to get it in blood, bro. Like, I'm not paying this. Y'all gonna have to fight me. I'll pay for mine. Like, I'll pay for what I ate and what I drank, but I ain't paying no other 56K, bro. And we started getting into it a little bit. Like, the older guys were like, you're being, nah, you ain't, you doing that? And then I was finally like, all right, bro, like, if we gonna do this, like, cause y'all was ordered, like, and mind you, the older vets were like, ordering steaks, tomahawks to go. They were ordering 1942, a bottle of it, Casamigos bottle of, Douce, Remy, Ma, everything, bro. And mind you, these bottles are like 300, 400 a bottle, bro. Ace of Spades, everything. And so, long story short, the grand total for just the rookies was like 7,000. So we split that, and like the older guys already had took care of like the total wasn't 56. I think the total was like 16K. We had the older guys take care of like 12 of it, and then we took care of like the last 4 to 6K of it. So it was cool. We ended up paying like 1,500 each. But they all got a good laugh at that day. I was salty when that prank, that fake receipt.
But it goes to the bathroom and run out the window type of junk. Like I ain't even
Not even that. Like, bro, y'all gonna have to fight me in this steak restaurant, bro. Like, we gonna throw it. Like, I don't care if I lose, bro. I'm not putting my card on that tab. No.
Right.
B was ready to have everybody in the kitchen.
Well,
dishes.
like I'm saying, bro.
On me, I'll go back there and wash some dishes for you. I ain't paying no 56K.
Because I'm like, what are you guys eating that it's $56,000?
You eat with a bunch of NFL players, bro. That tab can get up quick.
Okay.
Quick. I mean, they ain't ordering the cheapest thing on the menu. If there's 2 steaks on the menu, and they're the same exact steak, but one steak is 120, another steak is $300. They're ordering this steak that's $300 just because they're NFL players.
Oh, they can have that. They can have
That's
that. Yeah.
That's just how it go, bro. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
a different style of living, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. See, I would have like, I ain't going out y'all again. Let me go in my car. I got the, the money in the car. I'll be right back. You know what I'm saying? So,
Facts.
I think it's time though to talk about the big thing. You know what I'm saying? Something recent that just happened. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it a little bit our last podcast. Homeboy, Mr. Logan. You know, he already. So can you just break that down, really, like how that started, and then the result from that?
Yeah. So I mean, he obviously you guys saw his statement on the podcast saying that no NFL player could get in a boxing ring, go toe to toe with him. He'd knock out any NFL player, and so y'all know me, I talk, and to me, this wasn't even talking. This was like, what? All right, so I respond back. I'm like, bro, whether it's you, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, your dad, whoever, I'll knock anybody out in a pair of flip flops. I don't care. I didn't say that word for word, but y'all saw the response. I told him, I said, bro, line it up. And it got some gravity. Le'Veon Bell chimed in as well. And then, long story short, he ends up seeing it. He responds, and he starts going. He's like, all right, are you serious? And he starts changing it. He's like, you got to put money up, whatever. I said, cool. All right, let me know. I'll put the money up. Like, you want to fight for $1 million? We could fight for $1 million. Like, I'm gonna break your jaw. Like, I'm leaving here with something.
Okay.
I'm gonna kill this man.
Yeah. I'll leave here with something.
Paul brothers with a broken jaw.
Come on now.
I'm leaving here with something. It's $1 million. You better understand where I came from, white boy. Like, I grew up with nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get that $1 million. So, so he DMs me. He DMs me talking about where to send the contract and stuff. We start interchanging, and I'm ready. Money's getting ready to get sent. To escrow to put up the mill. I'm ready to get book these flights. And I'm just like, boom, whatever. The next day he releases that video. The WWE calls him, and they're like, you can't box. You're too important for WrestleMania. We need you healthy, whatever. And so he posted that video, and he's like, we can't fight. The fight's off. So he's like, congratulations, Breiden and Le'Veon. You got your little, minutes of fame this week or whatever. And I said, bro, you making too much excuses, bro. Let me know. I'll knock you out in the parking lot or a church, hall if we need to. But I mean, it's been cool. Me and Le'Veon got close after that. Le'Veon, we've been texting. Le'Veon's been talking about how this dude's a duck. So we just be commenting under the Logan stuff now that he's a duck every single time we do it. So he didn't want no smoke, bro. I promise you, he didn't want no smoke. I would have did dirty things to that boy and left $1 million richer.
Bro, see, that was the thing, man. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way this is real. I thought it was like, one of those like AI posts.
No shit. It was very real.
And I saw you comment. I was like, I text Lou like, bro, no way, bro. But like, this is crazy, bro. No, because where's the fight going to be at again? Like, where was he trying to have it at?
Pittsburgh, isn't it?
No, so he wanted it to be in South America where their gym is and where they're running shop at. And so I was just like, I'm just like, bro, you want to do this fight? We're going to do it right. Like, if I'm going to put up $1 million, we're going to do it in a way where, one, we get professional judges, we get a professional referee, and we get a good venue. I'm not coming to your gym. I'm not coming to box with your referees and your judges. I'm not finna do that.
Yeah.
So that was that, man. And he knows not to smoke and bark up this alley no more. He knows who not to mess with and who's about that smoke. I don't think he knew that nobody was gonna step to him, especially when he was like, you got to put up $1 million and this and this. I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. Like, I told him, I said, bro, I don't even want. At first, when he posted, I said, bro, I don't even want your money. I'll come up for free.
I seen that. Yeah,
and so, it is what it is, man. Like, I didn't go for the disrespect of like disrespecting NFL players. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a certain line, like, we do where a lot of guys aren't going to speak up because they can't. It's in their contract. NFL players can't just go box as active NFL players. Myles Garrett's not going to go box. So
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing, calling out guys that aren't going to go do it because of their contract situation. So, no, man, it was cool. It was a cool gig, and I'm always here, bro. We follow each other now. He's got my number. He's got my contact info. So whenever he wants to throw some hands, I'm ready for it. I'm down.
Okay.
Nah, Logan saw it, bro.
I ain't afraid to take a punch. Come on
what I'm
now.
saying? That whole WWE call, I was like, oh, he's gotta go because he did Vine, he did all these like Instagram skits and stuff. So I'm like, he's an actor. You gotta give it to him. He's a good actor, but he's an actor though.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's gonna go around saying NFL players can't fight, what about YouTubers?
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, like he doing too much. So
yeah,
we got that thing settled, bro. And shoot, we chilling now.
So he tried to bring it up again and come to like, let's say Hawaii. Would you? Okay, like you gonna make that happen?
He better check in with me if he comes to Hawaii. That's all I know. Like,
hey,
you ain't gonna get a pass to pull up to Hawaii. Like people know who I am from Hawaii. Like I'm stamped. People know my last name. So Logan Paul better think twice about walking through Hawaii with his head held high, because there's some Hawaiian that'll chin check him like before he even gets to me. So he better check in with me before he gets there.
Okay, talk it. I mean, he's not lying though. Is he lying? He's not lying. He's not lying.
Got soldiers on the way. That's what I'm
saying. I think people are ready though. I think
no cap.
Hey, they're ready, bro. The Paul brothers acting crazy, but that's all entertainment. We ain't worried about them, no man.
Shoot, Max might just check him for fun.
Wow.
Max might check him with his left to see if his left is still throwing straight.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, man. So, you got any more for Breiden, man, to talk about? I think this is a good one. This is a good one. One for the
anything you want to touch on, like future endeavors that you got planned?
Any shout outs?
Shout out Luck for having me on the podcast. There's some things I kind of want to talk about, but for business purposes I can't. But just to the fans, stay tuned. I got some really good things cooking up that I can't. We're in the talks of contracts right now, so legal purposes I can't talk about it, but I do have some good things coming up with some good companies, with some good partnerships. So stay tuned, especially for the sports fans. They're gonna love it. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about this next endeavor in my life. I appreciate y'all for having me. That was a blast. I hope y'all got whatever you needed info wise. I hope we were able to cook and
yeah, of course, because like you mentioned, there's stuff that you can't talk about now, but it doesn't mean later on you can't.
For
we can definitely talk about have a little part 2. Again, we appreciate you, Breiden, for joining the Struck with Game podcast. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Walk It Out, good outro. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to send you a jersey so you can sign it so I can frame it on the wall.
Oh, okay.
Is it my jersey or a Broncos jersey?
Oh, it's your jersey, bro.
Okay. I didn't know if it was a Broncos jersey because we just ran out of toilet paper in the guest bathroom, so I didn't.
It's like
I'm gonna let that one slide.
I didn't. But if it's my jersey, I'm gonna make sure I send it back with a little extra gift. But yeah, if you were sending me a Champ Bailey jersey or some under the sun, then I'd about to be like,
oh, this is perfect.
I'm about to be like, yeah, I need some toilet paper, bro. Like real talk, real rap.
Yeah, he hating because Champ Bailey used to lock down what is that receiver called? Randy Moss or something like that when he was with the Vikings.
Something around the
lines. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss? Champ Bailey wasn't locking up Randy Moss, man.
Yeah, that don't sound right. And I don't know football like that. And I know that don't sound right. That sounds crazy, man.
Whether it was a Akeem Talib or Chris Harris or the Tim Tebow especially jersey, I'm using toilet paper all year. Like all year.
This dude.
The only Bronco I got respect for is Demaryius Thomas. OG. Met him one time in Hawaii. That's great dude. But RIP. But Demaryius Thomas, great dude.
Okay. Oh, and Chris Harris too, bro. I got a bone to pick with him to join the Chargers. That's crazy.
I play with Chris. Is a funny dude. I play with him. Funny dude.
This dude said a bone to pick, man. Hey, man, we forgot to do it in the intro though, but we got to do the bow bow bow. You mind starting?
You got to do it with us.
So yeah, should,
bow bow bow.
Should we explain it? We explain the bow bow bow. We do 4 bows.
Okay.
So it's like bow bow. It's like a little intro and outro, but we didn't do the intro, so the outro we got to do at least 4 times, man.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
All right, go start off, Lou. Come on now.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bow, 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 bow.
Hey, man, this is Struck with Game Podcast. Thank you once again, Breiden, for joining us, man. We appreciate you. You're going to do some amazing things in the future, man. Can't wait to have you on again, bro.
Yeah,
appreciate
Shout
it,
out
fellas.
to my brother right there, Breiden, B-Man.
All right, man. We out of here, man.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you, fellas. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
With my mind part, these rhymes will have them follow me, Jesus. But I'm no messiah, just full of my empire. But still you haters be lurking, tapping, so here's a wire.